Hey Todd, what's the difference between a good ride and a great ride?
The weather?
No, a 1 pound bricks cone and Taco Bell that serves Cinnaballs after 10 p.m. Our goal at Best Motorcycle Roads is to make your next motorcycle trip the best it can be. So the bottom line is the UP is just plain great riding, pasties are a must, and if you're anywhere near Ironwood, you gotta get to Stormy Kromer.
Yeah.
So we kind of we did a Michigan UP ride this spring here, didn't we? We started out kind of a couple days out, and we're like, uh-oh, we're gonna get wet the whole time.
I'm glad you guys checked the maps because it was out of the 5 days, I think 4 days we were going to get rain if we took the route that we had planned.
Right. We were planning on leaving, I think, on a Wednesday from Chicago, and this was Monday. We started looking because we hadn't done enough. We'd done some planning. We knew where we were gonna go, but we hadn't gotten rooms. We hadn't got things, and so we did a whole bunch of thinking. At first, we were thinking about going totally different directions, and then we just finally kind of figured out. And I think maybe we used ChatGPT to kind of calculate. Hey, wait a second. If we just again go in reverse, which we've done this a couple times, we'll avoid the rain.
Yeah, and
except Chris, he got
wet the first day,
half day.
Yeah, so
actually just the first morning.
Yeah, the first morning. Yeah. So our original route was going to be counterclockwise around Lake Michigan,
right?
And then ChatGPT just pointed it out that the weather, based on when we were leaving, was going to be dry if we went clockwise. Which,
right.
So cool.
So yeah, I wouldn't say that we could have used it to actually plan a good map because it was kind of. It didn't do a good job of making a motorcycle map, but it was cool. It was, it's getting better. It's getting interesting. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So that Monday of the trip, we decided to kind of figured out that part. So then we went through and got some hotels, and then every single time I book more than one hotel on the same exact day, it gets dicey. And it's hard because we were booking 2 hotel rooms. There's 4 of us. So you're trying to make sure you have 2 hotel rooms.
And we were online at the same time doing this.
Yeah, we were all online.
Group call, or a video
and
chat.
So one of the nights, of course, I screwed up. So, So we got there, and they're like, "Oh, no room tonight." It's like
you were supposed to be here 2 days ago.
Always. And the other one other time, I remember we booked two books for the same night too.
Yeah.
So
and that's because your computer stores all that stuff in the cache.
Well, and they all actually, it wasn't even for one of the nights we were riding. It was that night.
Oh, right.
It was
true.
Because when you open up those hotel pages, and of course we open up 45 different hotel pages because we want to save $3, And so it was. So I ended up booking for the night we were talking on the phone instead of.
Yeah.
So, but it worked out fine. Everything was cool. But just maybe someone detail oriented goes through afterwards because it works out nice to get them all booked ahead of time when you're doing a ride like we were doing. Sometimes I think you can wing it, but it's not it's not as much fun when you're trying to find a hotel for an hour out,
Yeah, and I feel like in the last 5 or 10 years, it's harder to wing it. I think it's hard to find open hotels anymore.
Well, and I think that, especially some of these towns are trying to find, there's festivals and things that go on, and pretty soon you're driving who knows where. And I think also what happens is you end up spending a little more money because you kind of get, I wouldn't say desperate, but you just get tired of looking,
Yeah.
So we went, June 4th through the 8th. It was about 1,640 miles per my Google's timeline.
Yep.
The three of us left from Solon and headed to meet Chris at Shoalsburg, Wisconsin. So that worked out well for us. It was a beautiful morning. Chris got wet, but after that we didn't see much rain. Well, we didn't see any rain after that.
Right. Yeah.
So I think by looking at my timeline again, another great tool that we've used over the years to kind of recap is Google Timeline. Now it's only on the phone, and yours was acting a little different than mine. Mine was recapping the trip and everything for me. Yours was not doing that.
Mine is only capturing the days, all the places we go throughout the day, and
so
it has all the spots.
If you drill down on a day,
but it's not capturing the trips. And I've got everything turned on. I've gone through all the settings, but if I just look at trips, the last trip I captured was 2024. I don't have any 2025 trips, so
That's very odd.
I don't know if that's my phone doing that, or if it's something about my account.
I wonder if you. I had a problem the other day with an app, and it was driving me nuts. And I just uninstalled it and reinstalled it.
That's a good idea. I should do that.
I would definitely try that because my understanding was the trips function, though, also is like after the fact. Mm-hmm. It says, "Oh, I see you've been traveling, and let me make you a little fun." You know, it's almost like here's your last week pictures from whatever year. So.
Yeah, and I get those. I just don't get the trips. Yeah.
So anyway, from Scholesburg, we met Chris at the Minor Town Mart. We went our way through Linden Station, Merrill, Wisconsin, and then we ended up staying the night at Minocqua.
Yeah.
Great town.
It was.
That's a neat town.
Yeah, I like that.
It's really it's a summertime, wintertime, kind of a resort town, almost you'd say, I guess, wouldn't you?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And we had dinner at the Thirsty Whale. And that was wonderful.
That was a great place. The ski team was right there on the lake.
They were practicing.
They were practicing, getting ready for their next ski show, and they were, going off their big jump.
It was great.
Practicing the big jump, and they were showing off to all of us who were sitting at the Thirsty Whale for sure. They were picking up their skis and waving and just doing all kinds of hamming it up,
Yes. And then funny, Chris had been hanging out there in the 90s. That was like a buddy of his, summer town. They had a lake home.
Yeah, they had a lake home, and then the two of them went through some ski training, like show training. Yeah, so they were out on that lake a lot.
What the heck?
Yeah,
and that was great food.
The food.
They were a little light on servers that night, but it was a Wednesday night.
Yeah,
so
I really thought that was great food.
It was very, very good.
Yeah,
I really wish I would have had one of their fish sandwiches because I probably should have done that. But and then when we were driving into town, I saw an ice cream shop that I'd been to in Wausau before called Bricks. It's kind of like a Wisconsin ice cream place, so it's hard to not have it. But their claim to fame is a 1 pound cone. so I drug you guys over there afterwards, and Brad and I had a 1 pounder. We got you a kitty cone.
I had a kitty cone because you were. I was wiped out full. Yeah,
and then Chris got like a 2 pound chocolate shake. I think that thing was big. It had to be 32 ounces. I would say.
I think so.
And he put that thing down in 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's Chris.
Oh my gosh. So then the next day, that was Wednesday. Thursday was our hat tour day, right?
Yes.
So we head from Minocqua to Ironwood, and it's not very far. So we kind of found a few extra roads to throw in there because I think the tour wasn't until 10 o'clock. Right?
Yeah. So we kind of tooled around on some of the curvy roads up there, and it was really nice. So
oh my gosh.
Great roads up there.
And then Stormy Kromer. We knew it was going to be cool. But the tour, I mean, tell us about the tour.
I thought it was going to be cool, and it was way over the top. So we were lucky that the owner of Stormy Kromer had kind of given up control of the day-to-day operations to his daughters, and they were inside running it.
Yeah, he was getting older.
Yeah, and he said, they've designated me as the tour giver, so he gave the tour, which made it really interesting because he could tell you the stories of not only the original founders and how the hat came to be, but when he bought the place in 2001, and it basically had been shut down, like they weren't making the hats anymore.
Yeah, I think what it was he had been building this like a commercial sewing. Yes. Like he was a sewing factory, but not Stormy Kromer.
No, right.
And then he had been in touch or talked to the original Stormy Kromer hat company, and I guess the story there is they used to make baseball hats, and then they used to make like winter hats, I think.
Well, the wife sewed some ear laps onto a baseball
hat. Yeah, because he was an engineer,
and he would.
It was because of winter. It was cold.
Yep.
And he needed the winter hat.
Yep.
But it was also they were out on the rail, so they were getting a lot of sun. So he wanted a visor.
Yeah.
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 And that was back in 1900.
It was the early 1900s. It was so funny because they were also talking about how many times he put his head out the side of the train to look ahead and his hat blew off.
Oh, I missed that part. That's funny.
Yeah, I read that on one of their little tour
And so
signs.
in that 2000 time frame, the Kromer Hat Company, which is the original one, they were mostly making money selling welding hats.
Yeah.
and they pretty much had given up on the Stormy Kromer hat. And so this guy's like, maybe we should do that.
Yeah, it was neat because they use those welding hats. The brim protects the welders' necks.
Right.
And then they also build
From
up the
flying sparks.
from flying sparks. Sorry, yeah. And then the top, they actually poof it up quite a bit higher than your hair, so that if a spark lands on the hat, it doesn't burn your hair. It only burns the hat. So those became very popular, and a bunch of the unions, I guess, the welding unions picked up on those, and they became super popular, and they're very colorful. And so he kind of brought back the Stormy Kromer that had the ear laps, the original,
And then now they've pretty much built all kinds of, there's just dozens and dozens of different hats.
1,300 SKUs or something. I don't know how many of those were hats. Yeah.
Pretty amazing. So and then just his story. He's now in that area. There's that the nation's biggest ski jump.
Yeah, the world's the nation's tallest.
Right.
Yeah.
But apparently the game has changed. The ski jumping game has changed, and instead of going fast, they're going slower but flying further, almost like fly suits or the squirrel suits now.
Right. They've changed the style of jumping, and now that this ramp hadn't been used since the late 90s, is actually at the wrong pitch.
Angle, pitch.
But they still want the Norwegian team. They really want ski jumping to be a big thing in the U.S. They want to build the sport by building it through the U.S., knowing how strong athletics are here. So they want that thing to be rebuilt, and they want to train the U.S. jumping team, to be one of the top teams in the world. So the guy that's running the hat place is doing the fundraising, and fundraising to get this thing rebuilt. And I think $40 million is their goal, and he's
halfway there.
He's halfway there. He's got $20 million, and they're rebuilding the front part of it now, and
it's pretty amazing. And so that's really going to be something that. It was pretty interesting, I think.
They're going to do a World Cup event there, I think, is the goal,
because they were going to do both, like
they're going to go across the river over to Wisconsin and do the biathlon.
Yes,
I'm trying to remember the name of that town. It starts with an H. Not Huntley.
No.
Gosh, I don't know.
So Bob Jacquart is the guy's name, right?
You go.
Bob, and he's really working hard though to do this because he sees it, and when you get up there, I mean, there's not a lot going on up in this area, so like it's really gonna bring back a lot of life to this area and it was cool. So highly recommend go to Stormy Kromer.
Yes.
Beautiful hats, coats, jackets, all kinds of just super high-end stuff.
Yeah, we all bought Stormy Kromer hats.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, you bought an extra one to give away.
I did. I bought a trucker hat so we could give it away.
Yep.
So we talked about that in the first episode when we started talking about planning this trip. And so comments on that post, comments on this post. Get your comments in, and we're going to give that hat away about Labor Day, right?
Yes.
So, so please add comments, say you watched it, and we'll see what we can do, and we'll send that hat out to somebody.
Put your hat in put your name in the hat drawing.
That's right. Put your hat in the name drawing. No.
Right.
So after the tour, we got a recommendation. There was 2 pasty shops, because this was the Stormy Kromer and the pasty ride. So there was 2 pasty shops in town, Joe's and Rigoni's.
Yes.
So
you got it.
Which one of those 2 did you like best?
Oh, out of those, it was close.
Those were good.
They were both good.
Maybe probably some of the better ones.
Yeah, Joe's had really good crust.
I would call him like the old, like what you would expect if you thought of what a pasty shop might look like.
Yeah, and that was my very first pasty ever.
Okay.
So we did eat it the traditional way with ketchup. We didn't go with the gravy on it.
Yeah.
But no, I thought that was really good.
We did learn if you ask for gravy, you're in trouble.
Yeah, that's right.
They know you're a tourist. Yeah.
But just a few tables in there. I think there was a couple of tables outside if we wanted to sit there, but it was hot, so we stayed inside. Hot. Yeah.
And then just down the street was Rigoni's.
Yeah.
Another great pasty.
Yeah, they had a great bakery inside.
And the bakery was even better.
The bakery was even better, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was good.
Yeah. So I know we also had a pasty there, and then we had cookies and pies and some other things there. So
all the goods.
Yeah.
So it didn't take us very long down the road to find one more, and this one's pretty kind of a famous pasty convenience store stop.
Yeah.
But it's Krupp's Mini Mart. So that's kind of another like very popular place to stop. And then there's a story at that one, right? I mean,
Well, as we were pulling in, a policeman drove up to us and said, "Did you see a guy on a scooter,
like a moped.
a moped heading your way?" And we said, "No, he didn't pass
No.
us." And we said, "What's up?" Well, he was kind of. They thought maybe breaking into a
hard to
garage.
say exactly.
Hard to say exactly, but they
questionable activities.
yeah, and so we hadn't seen him. Well, sure enough, just as we're going to walk in to Krupp's,
Well, because like they're on a corner, right?
Yes.
So we parked on what would be on the main roadside. We were getting all our stuff off, and we're starting to walk in, and then we walk around the corner, and then
there he
Scooter
is.
Steve is on the other corner, around sitting on the bench.
Oh yeah, because the policeman had showed us a
Yeah,
picture. They had a
yeah.
picture of the guy from somebody's camera,
Like
so
security
you could
cam.
see the jacket he was wearing
Yep,
and
oh,
the
yeah.
scooter he was on.
Yeah.
Sure enough, he was sitting right there, sitting on a bench, and his scooter was right there.
Smoking a smoke.
Oh my gosh, it was
That
so
was
funny.
funny.
So we're like, he's here.
Right around the corner.
He's here.
Oh, but that was a good pasty as well.
It was. And now that one's mostly all takeouts because there was only one table in
It
there
was
to
like,
sit down.
yeah, it was really just a convenience store. But
Yeah.
some young ladies running the place, they were doing a heck of a job, and they were just cranking them out. You were like, does this happen all day? And then all of a sudden they filled the thing right back up. So they
Yeah.
must sell a bunch.
Yeah.
And then one more stop, one more pasty before we ended the night. We were heading up to Calumet, and we stopped in Houghton, and we found Roy's Pasties.
Yeah.
But we barely made it in before they shut her down.
Yeah,
I think it was about 7 o'clock.
They were getting ready to close the
Yeah,
doors.
they were.
And,
She was ready for us not to be in there.
yeah, but she let us buy whatever they had left.
And they had a huge, beautiful
bakery.
patio, right? Would you call it?
Beautiful.
That too.
Yeah. Big bakery in there, but yeah, great patio out
overlooks the
river.
River.
Yeah.
Oh, that was cool. And the big bridge in Houghton.
there. Yeah, that was that 2-layer level bridge, the one
Yep.
that, it would elevate.
That's cool. So we spent the night in Calumet, and that was fine. We were thinking maybe of going up to Copper Harbor, but timing-wise, it just didn't work out for
Yeah.
us, so we weren't able to go up there. So then Friday, we were trying to get down to Munising, right, for the Great Lakes Glass Bottom Boat Tour. But of course, there was one pasties stop in between. That was Irontown Pasties, and this place had the absolute best people that we met
Great
on
people.
any pasty shop, probably the whole time, really.
Yeah, great people
I mean, it was
in any place we went, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so every person in the kitchen came out and talked to us.
Yes.
That was amazing.
Well, and then also it was right around that time must have been when school was ending, if you remember. And then some girls that must work there also were in between classes and they were taking finals.
They were taking finals.
But they were stopping for an ice cream break. So
Right.
those were great pasties there, I will say. That was,
They were my favorites.
I think so too.
Now, but that was the only place that we had already eaten 3 pasties that
Right.
day. We had gotten traditional for the most
Yes.
part. So when we got here, they had
A little bit
traditional,
other
but there were
options.
other options.
Yeah.
So we all bought something other than a traditional, which would have been like meat and potatoes and onions and
Yeah.
carrots, But these were different. So we had like a chicken pot pie.
Mine
there
was
was
spicy jalapeno.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't that spicy, but it was
Yeah.
still good.
These were really, really good.
Yeah, they were good.
Yeah.
Also, they also had like a pasty pastry, if you remember.
They did. Yeah, that's
Chris and
right.
I both got that, and I had a raspberry, and it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then that took us over to the boat tour. That was at Munising for the Great Lakes Glass Bottom Boat Tour. What, you want to give us the rundown on that?
Yeah, so the boat tour takes you over 2 shipwrecks that sank. They actually sunk in a little bit deeper water, but to do some recovery on them, they dragged the ships up into a little bit more shallow water. But that makes it great for this boat tour because it's a giant, what do you call it, a pontoon boat?
Dual,
With
pontoon boat.
big glass viewing things down the center, and you go right over the top of these and
Yeah.
can view them, and so that was really neat. It's a good size boat.
It was neat. It was a good break. I would have to say maybe slightly oversold a little bit.
Yeah, I would
We saw
say.
two boats, which was cool.
Yep.
But it was fun. It was nice. It was way bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, then they took you over to the shorelines, and you got
Painted
to see
rocks.
some painted rocks. You got to see some cliffs,
And that was neat.
Yep.
Yeah, but it was a good break, a nice thing to do.
Yep.
But yeah, and then we were at Newberry. That's where we stayed that night. So when we got up, then we headed up to Whitefish Bay. So that was interesting. That's where the Great Lakes Shipwreck Museum is, and that's of course kind of the biggest story they tell is the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Yeah, it's the largest ship that sunk in the Great Lakes.
And we did learn that that's really the last big wreck.
Yeah.
Since. Yeah. Because that was in the late 70s.
Yep. 79.
Which I guess I didn't realize it was that recent. I mean, 50 years isn't that recent, but
right.
But considering, I thought it was a longer time ago than that. Yep. But so that's an interesting place. The last time I went there, so now they've got like the first thing they suggest you do is go in. They have a big movie, in one of the areas, and we watched that, and that was a really good movie.
Yeah, documentary on the
kind of
Fitzgerald. Yeah. Yep.
But the last time I was there, it was more of a self-guided tour with headphones, and that was pre-COVID, so I'm sure that there's some of this that they came. I enjoyed the self-guided tour better than I did that, so.
Yeah. Now it's more reading. There's things to look at, but more buildings now. It sounds
way
like
more buildings.
Yeah, they've added like
probably
5.
4 or 5 more buildings since we went there.
Yeah.
So that was nice. But anyway, after that, we headed south because you can't go north. And worked our way down to the Mackinac Bridge, but you got to bring a cash. You don't have to have cash. I think you could probably use a card.
You probably use a card, but when you're on a motorcycle, make sure you have that cash somewhere where it's easy to get at.
That's the hardest part. I mean, gloves and all this. And then, of course, it's $4, not $5, so you get $1 back. Now, what am I doing with that?
Yeah, so I stuck it in my front pocket, but I had to borrow it anyway to begin with. But sure enough, you got gloves on, and it's. Yeah, make sure it's easy to get to. Yeah. Otherwise, you're holding up traffic.
Right before we went across the bridge, we did stop at that Gustafson smoked fish.
Yeah.
That was on recommendation from Bob from Stormy Kromer.
Yes.
But wow, it was neat.
That was neat.
They had fish and jerky and a little bit of everything.
I wish I had some more space, cool storage with me on my bike. I would have taken a whole bunch of that smoked fish back. It was really good. Yeah.
And then we hopped the bridge, and if you're in this area, if you haven't done it at least once or 5 times, you really need to head west from the bridge because you got to do the Tunnel of Trees. I mean, it's like an iconic motorcycle road, M119, and that would be right south of Cross Village, but you really got to be careful because don't let Google guide you here.
Yeah.
It will take you, there's another north-south road that'll bypass the actual Tunnel of Trees, and so you kind of have to force it over to keep over by the shore.
Yes.
But wow, what a neat road. It's narrow. I mean, it is 1.5 cars wide at best.
Yeah, I feel like my map would have taken me down. We were coming from the north. It was going to take me to the bottom of that road, as if I was going to ride back up.
I think the official point, if you're looking, the point is on the south side. Just north of Good Hope. So want to make sure that Cross Village is definitely the northern starting point. Good Hope, I think, is the southern point, but if you draw a straight line between those, there is one. There's a road that's a straight line, and you need to stay west of that, and you just gotta. It doesn't even look like you should be driving, and then pretty soon you start to kind of see it's got a white solid line on each side. When you see that, then you know you're on the Tunnel of Trees, and there's markers, but there's not markers getting you to it.
No.
But once you get on it,
I was glad you were able to find that.
Because we went past it actually, and then I'm like, this isn't it. We're not going to get to it. We've already went past. I knew we'd already went past too far. So.
Yeah. And like you said, it's a lane and a half maybe. Wide.
I remember the first time we rode it. There's a Suburban, and it was there's not a lot of room for a Suburban even in a motorcycle. So
yeah.
So we ended up staying that night in Big Rapids. Now that's a nice town. And then we went to Schuberg's Bar and Grill, right?
Yeah.
Great atmosphere.
Great atmosphere in there.
Great story.
It is. Yeah.
The gentleman Schuberg had started a long time ago, and the gentleman that had bought it was a bartender there, I think, and bought it, and now his children are running it, and it was neat. It's kind of just an old neighborhood style bar and pub.
Yep. Really good food. Big bar. Lots to choose from.
Yes.
A lot of beer on tap. And, it was great.
But you get there before 8. We got there about 8 o'clock, and they served food. I think they said until 10.
Yep.
but the kitchen had been they cut some things down.
They did. Yeah.
So, yeah. But they had a good chili. We tried that. That was good. They had opened up the crock pot and gave us a little of that. And then you guys doubted me after that. We left there. I got all doubt, as usual, because of the Cinnaballs, man.
Which I had never heard of.
Well, so Taco Bell, I would say Taco Bell has a lot of okay things, and they have a lot of okay things, but they don't, dessert is not normally what you think of with Taco Bell.
Not at all.
Because if you've ever had their little Cynic crisp twists or whatever, it's like styrofoam with some
cinnamon on it.
Cinnamon glued on it.
And sugar. Yeah.
But Cinnabon has come through in a pinch with the Taco Bell people, and now you can get, I don't know what they're actually called. I just call them Cinnaballs.
Yeah, Cinnaballs.
Basically,
good enough.
Cream-filled donut holes.
Made by Cinnabon.
Cinnabon.
Oh my gosh, they were good.
Just all the Cinnabon goodness.
Yeah.
And basically they take the icing and they shove it inside the ball. So I took the motorcycle through the drive-through.
Yeah.
And the funny story there was, so she's like, I go, can I get a bottle of water? Because I was getting thirsty. We'd, right on. Yeah. No, but I can give you a cup of water. I said, I'll pass and you'll see why in a minute. And she, okay. And then I pulled up. She goes, oh, yeah, okay.
A cup of water on your motorcycle.
I got us some Cinnaballs, and you were reluctant to even try the Cinnaballs when I brought them, but once you did, you were hooked.
It's because I was on a diet, or am on a diet. Yeah. So
you can be on a diet now, but doesn't count in the motorcycle trip.
Boy, those were good.
So good.
Yeah.
It's like a cinnamon roll-ish in a ball. It's the best.
Yep.
It's kind of like those bagel bombs, if you've had those before.
Yes.
They're similar. But
yeah.
So then last day, that was Saturday night. Last day, Sunday, was kind of trucking it home. Mm-hmm. There's not a really great way by the time you get to the middle of Michigan to get back to Chicago, Iowa.
Right.
You might as well just jump on the interstate and go.
Which is what we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we rolled back to Chris's place, that was nice. We always make him drive to meet us. We never, so right. That was cool. We got to stop.
Finally get to drop him off.
Yeah, drop him off, and then he got to sit while we went home. So
yeah.
But of course.
I was going to say, go ahead. We're getting to the best part. So one of our favorite things is to get a Lou Malnati's pizza when we're in the Chicago area.
Because there's pizza wars in Chicago, and it's really, is there three? I mean, it's Gino's.
Yeah, Gino's East.
Uno, maybe.
Yeah.
Uno's kind of the original.
Yeah.
But then but so you and I both are Lou Malnati fans. So.
Oh, yeah.
Buttercrust.
So we had a Lou Malnati's. And
that was great.
And Lou salad.
And it was, I'd never had Lou salad before, but I'll definitely be getting that the next time.
That was good.
It was really good, but it was nice. We'd been riding for 3-4 hours.
Yep.
It was a nice stop, rest, and then we could motor home for the last three-ish hours, and that was easy. But it just stunk because it was... And I should have... You guys talked me into putting the damn rain gear on, and I didn't want to, and I should have held my guns.
Yeah, it did sprinkle a little bit, but
not enough to have that rain gear on. No. So all in all, what a great trip. 5 days, 1,640 miles, good fun.
Good stops.
Great stops.
I don't have to eat another pasty now for another year or so.
Because
we had like 7 or 8 of them. That's enough in one 5-day trip.
I bet I had 10.
You may have
had
too
10.
Many. Yeah.
But I will say this, like, if I go and they have the fruit one, I'll get it every time. It was that good.
Yeah.
I mean, the fruit ones to me were that good.
Yeah.
It was fun to have them though. So.
Yeah.
This is a section we call the toolkit. We share motorcycle gear review, and other riding tips. Kind of a few things for the toolkit. We've talked about this before too, but some people get. I've never had a helmet or anything stolen, but we don't ride in super populated areas. But the cable lock is a great device for that. You can just loop it through your chin bar, loop it through your jacket sleeve if you want to. And then, really, honestly, what's nice then is but just make sure you hook it on something that you can't unloop it on with the bike. But that's a really cheap, easy. And it's small. It just folds down so small. It's a great way to save that. So visor cleaning setup, like Michigan. If there's one thing in the UP that you get is big bugs.
Big bugs.
Oh my gosh, and they just hammer you. So like just something to clean the visor and potentially the windshield.
Yeah, bring a bottle of spray. Yeah,
Either a
with
bottle
ya.
of spray, or if you're just riding with the visor too, like you can get those glasses packets.
Yep.
That works good too.
Yep.
You know, the trick always to cleaning your visor or your windshield too is soak. Like,
Get it really wet.
and it
Yep.
doesn't even. I mean, I like to use the polish for after, but like because the water will leave residue, like watermarks.
Yep.
But even if you can just let it sit, even if you take a paper towel, and I don't like to use paper towel and plastic, but if you do have a couple paper towels, even the ones at the gas station, don't rub them,
Nope.
but put them on there and get water on them
Yep.
so that they soak in the bugs.
Yep.
Give them 2 minutes, then you can take those off. Then you can come back with a microfiber in your spray, and it's like slides right off.
It does,
It's great.
yeah.
So
Yep.
so those are great, and that works for the windshield. That works for your visor. Yeah.
Yep.
Need a little cash once in a while.
Got to remember to bring cash.
It is a good idea to stuff a 20 in a. Most of these riding jackets have 2 or 3 pockets.
Yeah.
So just a good idea to stash something in there.
Yeah,
just
around
once
here
in a
I've
while.
gotten so used to just carrying
Right.
debit card that I didn't think about that. But yeah, cash.
And a lot
would've
of
been-
places up there, they'll give you a little discount on cash too.
They do,
So
yep.
if you want to do that, so
And we were in a pasty shop that only did cash.
right.
Yeah.
Yep. The one thing I was trying to brainstorm if anyone had any ideas on was, I've been thinking a lot about this. Like, you can buy the liner bags, which are great. But what I'm really thinking about is like for my toolkit side, I usually keep the tools on the left side. I'd like to have like a 3-piece tool liner bag, but I'd really love it to like what if it magneted together?
Yeah. So you just
clipped
pick up one, clip together.
Somehow get it out of there, because like we stopped. I can't remember. We didn't need a jump pack, but I can't remember what we needed out. Somebody needed something. Maybe you needed a screwdriver, I think, for your.
I needed
helmet.
the hex. I needed the hex thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a screwdriver. You're
Yeah.
right. I needed 2 different tools. Yeah.
And like mine, what I have a big honking bag that I put everything in, then I shove that in there, which is fine and it works. But like you can't find anything. You don't know where everything's at. So I'm thinking about buying. And if someone knows of this, I've seen some 2-piece before, but I haven't seen it just right. But thinking about buying one and then seeing if I could somehow cut it up, and then maybe like sew it back together. So
Yeah.
we might have to use the cornhole sewing machine to see what we can
I
come
can
up
do
with.
that for you.
Because that would be great if you can imagine like having 3 pieces that are maybe magneted together, and then maybe when you take it out, you can clip them so they don't completely fall apart or
Yeah.
something. I don't know. Or the handles grab easily into one.
Uh-huh.
If you know something like that, let us know in the comments, because I'd like to see it. If not, we better be filing a patent or something on this.
All right.
Another thing that's good is just these quick dry base layer shirts. They're so small and compact. You can throw an extra one in. You can wash it off. It'll dry by the next day, and then that's always a good one too.
Yeah.
And then kind of speaking of different layers, this was the first trip that you'd rode with the Bond Under Armour, right?
Yeah, I really, really liked it a lot.
It was awesome.
It was fantastic. Because generally, I've never had any padding on my knees, hips, rear
Yep.
end. I've just had jeans on, So with that Bond layer underneath, and I bought the summer stuff, which
Yep.
is, really cool. It was just nice to have that feeling of protection, and with the way it's built, it stays in place. It doesn't float around
And
like
see,
past your knee.
That's my problem I've had in the past. I
Yeah.
end up taking the knee pads out on riding pants because they were too low,
Yeah.
because my legs are short. So the knee ends up being at my shin.
Uh-huh.
So therefore, then I end up with a shin guard, which it's no good. So
who needs that?
I
Yeah.
agree. I loved it, and then I really enjoy the zippered top,
Yep.
and because then you can, we were at Stormy Kromer. I was looking at some of their jackets even there, and I was like, boy, this would be great. Like you could, then it's still protected. You can buy any sweatshirt, any jacket, any
Yeah.
shirt.
Yep.
It got hot. It got really warm one day. I think I went down just to my.
I did too. I just wore
and it was great.
just the armor layer.
And it was cool. It was nice and cool. Like
Yeah.
it just, there's something about mesh jackets, no matter if it's the Bond or others, that lets it in, almost like it puffs it out just enough to kind of almost create an airspace. And this does the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I just can't say enough
Yeah.
about the Bond stuff. So cool. Well, if you like the podcast today, like it and subscribe. Please sign up for the BMR Rider Alerts so we can keep you in the loop. And don't forget to comment on this video, the other Stormy Kromer video, because Labor Day we're giving this away. So, and of course, as always, not spamming you. We just want to send someone a free hat.
Keep the spirit of adventure alive, and remember, bikes, friends, and endless roads, the stories ride forever. Take care.